is probably going to be a shorter one. It's on the Verge's review about the iPhone 16e, and this was published on February 26th, 2025. And it's titled iPhone 16e Review. It's alright. A basic iPhone for unfussy people. The iPhone 16e is everything I love and hate about iOS. FaceTime at your fingertips, a reliable camera. Simplicity, familiarity, they're the pillars of the iPhone experience. And Apple's newest iPhone has them. My husband picked up the iPhone 16e, concerned that he would have to learn something new to use it. He swiped around for a second and said, "Oh, it's just like my phone." It is just like his phone, a 6-year-old iPhone XR, only updated with a few essential improvements: a faster processor, nicer screen, and a modern camera, that kind of thing. And little else. That's the other pillar of the iPhone experience. You get exactly what Apple gives you and nothing more. On Android, you can buy a $500 phone with a fast refresh screen, 2 rear cameras, 7 years of software support, and wireless charging. On iOS, you buy the $600 phone, but with 1 rear camera, a standard 60Hz screen. I'm just grabbing my drink. Wireless charging, but no MagSafe. And an ample but unstated amount of software support. Apple has no competition when it comes to phones running iOS. The company can gatekeep these conveniences behind a higher price tag, and that's simply the way things will be. I'm looking at you, ProMotion. I need a mute to clear my throat. Verge score 7. iPhone 16e, $600 US. The good. Reliable performance. Good, if limited camera system. It's the cheapest new iPhone you can buy. The bad. No MagSafe. $599 feels like $100 too much. No ultra wide. This is the world the iPhone 16e enters. It's Apple's cheapest phone, but it's not cheap. Probably for the aforementioned lack of competition reasons. It's an iPhone that does iPhone things, but it's probably missing at least one major feature for any given buyer, whether it's an extra camera or the convenience of the MagSafe ring. If you're clinging desperately to an older model and want a new iPhone for the least amount of money, the iPhone 16e is the one to get. That's the job of the 16e, be the path of least resistance to blue bubbles. But for a more discerning customer, the answer is not as clear-cut. The iPhone 16e is a spiritual successor to the iPhone SE, though Apple would rather you not think of it this way. The SE was the company's budget-friendly line, a kind of close-out bargain bin offer on last generation's chassis with upgraded internals. The design was wildly outdated by the end, but hey, it still only cost $429. That line appears to have ended with the 16e, which is fully a member of the 16 series. But instead of an older design that's got a really good deal, we have a modern design that's only an okay kind of deal, or kind of a deal. It's $200 US cheaper than the $800 iPhone 16. Has a similar 6.1-inch OLED display. There's no dynamic island, just a notch, and instead of 2 rear lenses, you get one, a 48 megapixel rear main camera, and no ultra wide to go with it. You get wired charging, but no MagSafe. the action button, but no camera control. This, not that, and so on. There's a kind of equation that can help determine how much you should care about a lot of the missing features in this list. How old is your current phone? Do other people in your household use MagSafe accessories that you want to share? Do you even know what MagSafe is? Would you like to follow the sports scores on the top of your screen while you do other things on your phone? Or are you a Seattle Mariners fan? Love hurts, guys. I don't know what that exact formula is because I barely scraped by in calculus, but just bear in mind as you can read the rest of this review. The iPhone 16e screen is very likely a version of the iPhone 14 screen, complete with notch housing the Face ID and front-facing camera array. The regular iPhone 16 screen gets just a little bit brighter in theory, but in practice they look about the same to me, brightness-wise. The iPhone 16e screen doesn't go down to 1 nit like the 16 can, which is too bad because it's honestly cool as hell and handy when you're trying not to wake up your spouse with a bright phone screen. The notch's existence also means no dynamic island. That's the pill-shaped cutout Apple introduced with the iPhone 14 Pro, which houses tiny bits of timely information you might want to see at a glance. All of that time-sensitive information like live sports scores and proximity of your oncoming Uber is still presented on a 16e lock screen, but the dynamic island keeps it at the top of your screen while you do other things on your phone. It's handy, and having gotten used to it, I miss it on the 16e. The extra visual confirmation is nice when you have a timer on screen or recording in progress. The dynamic island probably won't be a great loss if you use an iPhone without it. If you're used to a phone without it, though, MagSafe might be another case of if you've never had it, you won't miss it, but I'm a little less inclined to shrug off the absence of the 16e. Sure, there's still QI wireless charging, and you can always use a case with magnets to work around if you want to use MagSafe accessories, even if it's not an elegant solution. But the beauty of MagSafe is the way of the simplicity. And if you're a case hater like me, then it's a handy way to add a pop socket or a low-profile wallet to your phone without committing to a case. Aside from the SE, every iPhone from the 12 series onward has MagSafe. It feels like a standard feature now, and it's hard to understand why Apple left it out. The iPhone 16e rear camera uses a 48 megapixel sensor that combines pixels to help it better gather light, and it delivers nice images in most situations. There's no ultra-wide camera, and there's therefore no macro photography either. I missed the ultra-wide more than once when stepping back to frame a wider shot. That wasn't possible. There's a decent portrait mode, though it's the older version where you can't change the focus point after the fact. Photographic styles are available to help dial in color reproduction, though they're also a previous generation version you can't tweak the undertones. This is a camera system for most people who will be perfectly happy with. If you're at least a little bit inclined photography and photographically and want more flexibility both in focal range and processing options, then consider a iPhone 16 or 16 Pro. But it's still a good camera for the general audience. There's excellent 4K recording, optical image stabilization, and reliable color reproduction. A more advanced phone camera would be would offer better chance of capturing moving subjects in dim light. This one keeps up in most situations. Much of the 16e is familiar, but there's one entirely new component, Apple's C1 modem. This is its debut appearance, and the road to Apple's first in-house modem was reportedly full of setbacks and delays. I've used it for the past week to make FaceTime calls, upload large miles in crowded places and stream YouTube on the bus. I tested it alongside a regular iPhone 16, equipped with a Qualcomm-made modem both on Verizon, and I did not see any consistent difference in performance between the two. Every time I thought the iPhone 16 was faring better in a video call quality or upload speeds, I'd try the same test and the iPhone 16e would come out ahead. If I were none the wiser, I wouldn't have given the modem a second thought as I used the phone. Given the difficulty Apple seemingly encountered building this thing and the complexity of a cellular modem, it seems fine is actually a great outcome for the C1. Apple claims switching to its own modem has allowed it to squeeze a little bit more battery life out of the 16e offering. The best battery life ever on a 6.1-inch iPhone, according to its press release. Battery life certainly seems good. I spent an afternoon out of the house using a lot of navigation, streaming a podcast, testing connectivity, and watching YouTube. I clocked about 5 hours of screen time and was only down to 41% by the end of the day. I'm confident that most people can get through a day comfortably on this battery, but that's not my biggest concern. I'm more curious about the long-term battery health. Apple's recent track record here is spotty, and there's just no way knowing after a week of testing. That is a hyperlink. I'm kind of curious to go to it after, if I can paste and go. Oh, it's an article complaining about the iPhone 14 battery capacities in 2023. The other upgrade Apple is talking about here is Apple Intelligence. Maybe you've heard of it, or seen on a billboard, or in a commercial a few dozen times. Apple would like us to think of its AI as a marquee feature of the 16e, but Apple Intelligence just does not feel like one, not yet anyways. But it's all here. The AI writing tools, image playground, notification summaries, and the updated Siri with ChatGPT extension. It's all pretty forgettable right now. Case in point, it took me several days to notice Apple Intelligence wasn't running on the 16e I was testing, despite having the Apple Intelligence option turned on. I sorted it out. I guess something about the way I set it up prevented the necessary AI models from downloading, but it says a lot about how useful Apple Intelligence is right now. The most interesting stuff is yet to come, and the 16e will be ready for it, which is nice, but I definitely wouldn't let Apple Intelligence be a deciding factor in picking this phone versus, say, an iPhone 15. That highlights where I'm stuck trying to figure out the iPhone 16e. If you're coming from an older iPhone like an 11, don't want to spend a lot, and don't care about MagSafe or an ultra-wide camera, the 16e kind of makes sense. But $100 more will get you a 15 with MagSafe, the dynamic island, and an ultra-wide camera, although there's no Apple Intelligence or action button. The 16e feels like it should offer the essentials, but it's hard to say what an essential iPhone feature is and isn't. It's probably more like a combination of features, and for some people, the 16e likely offers a combination that they'll be happy with. Specifically, I mean the people like my husband and anyone with an old iPhone who's uninterested in learning what MagSafe is, rarely takes photos, and just wants a dang iPhone. The iPhone 16e covers the essentials. For someone who wants more flexibility from their smartphone's camera or system of accessories, this isn't the iPhone for you. I'd rather have a cool magnetic accessory system and a neat quick glance display built into my phone, other than Apple's Intelligence, especially for $600. It doesn't quite add up for me, but maybe the math looks a little bit different for you. Agree to continue. iPhone 16e, 16 Plus, 16 Pro, and 16 Pro Max. It's talking about how you have to agree to a bunch of stuff. I don't know why that's in there, but I don't know. I do agree that the iPhone 16e is in a weird spot. If I personally wasn't wanting to spend that much on a phone. Or lack of features